Project Zomboid should be the next game to get a media adaptation, and this is why. Media these days are absolutely stacked when it comes to post-apocalyptic stories. There are almost too many to name at this point, and a vast majority of them follow a group or family dynamic. We have gotten several solo stories over the years, but for the most part, especially in modern post-apocalyptic stories, it is all about the family or the group or the community environment. One notable exception in the video game realm has been Project Zomboid, and this is a 13-year-old minimalist simulation game. And I say minimalist when it comes to presentation. The gameplay itself is absolutely maximalist. It is one of the most detailed and full of depth games that I have ever played. Dwarf Fortress might be the only one that I can think of that beats it when it comes to pure complexity and pure depth when it comes to that sort of thing. My favorite thing about it is that minimalist tone, that quiet, living alone, surviving, doing your best in a harsh world with no one else around. One of the coolest aspects of that game are the mental health moodles, the mood icons in the corner of the screen that affect how your character survives. That is something that I think could translate extraordinarily well to the small screen. I wouldn't like to see a movie adaptation of Project Zomboid, and I'll get into why, but I think for the most part it would be better serialized. Partly because of the tone of the world, and partly because I just don't like single 90-minute excursions when it comes to media. I like my media to have a little bit more meat on its bones. Inspiration that I'd like us to take when it comes to visual representation and how the character is by themselves for the most part could be summed up in 3 movies from 3 different eras entirely. Let's see, The Quiet Earth from 1985 was a British story about the last man alive, and I believe it had some mental health aspects to it. I'm pretty sure the other characters that he met ended up being all in his head, but I could be wrong on that, so let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that. It's been a long time since I've seen that flick. I just remember the atmosphere and the scenery to be a perfect match for how I visualized a character roaming around in Knox Country post-apocalypse. So that's a really cool one. Another one's a father-son story, and I know Zomboid's one person, but a father-son story called The Road, where they traveled cross-country. And there's one particular scene where the son asks the father, "How many people do you think are left alive?" And the father pauses for a second. He says, "In the world? Not many." And that theme just fits really well with Zomboid. I think that would translate well to the media world. And then finally, and this is an obvious one, I think, but I Am Legend. I Am Legend would translate so well to the move into Louisville, the mid to late game aspects of Project Zomboid. The mental health aspects that Will Smith's character is struggling with, the dog companion that could easily be replaced by Spiffo or a raccoon. And I know that tone is weird, but we'll get to tone in a minute. I think that style would really, really fit well with how the Zomboid world is set up and the way the Zomboid world works. Now, when it comes to direction and writing, one of the coolest things about Zomboid is that its background, its history, its lore is awfully weird and awfully goofy. One of the coolest things about it is the Spiffo theory. The Spiffo's restaurant caused it. The Spiffo the raccoon mascot is great stuff. I think the Fallout directors, I think the team behind the Fallout TV show would do a really, really good job with Zomboid. And I think they would do it well for a number of reasons, but I think the silliness, I think managing to make a heartfelt, serious story following serious characters in a serious environment and still manage to have a fair amount of silliness, I think that would fit perfectly with Zomboid. If you think about some of the RNG moments, the generative story moments, walking up on on 2 cars that crashed into each other and they both are full of bank bags and dead zombies with bags full of money walking around, classic. Let's see, what's some of the others? The party house, the party hat house. Walking up on a house, going to scavenge a house and having it just full of guests from a birthday party. Just full of cake, wine, and people wearing party hats. I think it fit really, really, really well. I think walking into Louisville and having the camera pan back similar to Will Smith walking into Manhattan and having that camera pan back, I think that could be done really, really well. They could do some mental health stuff with Spiffo the raccoon. It could be a real raccoon, or it could be just a figment of your character's imagination. I think it could be extraordinarily well done. The only thing that I think the game would struggle with, or that the show would struggle with, is coming up with some sort of endpoint, because obviously Zomboid doesn't have one. And I think there would have to almost be a survivor community on the north end of Louisville that you were working towards, that was possibly ferrying survivors across the river into a safe zone, or somewhat of a safe zone, or a supposed safe zone. You could always end it on a very bleak tone, because that is what Zomboid does. So you could be following hints and TP, something along the lines of the Terminus arc from The Walking Dead, which is arguably one of the best arcs. I think that would be good. I think you could drag a character all the way through Knox Country, all the way from the rural areas, going through all these different checkpoints, the quiet earth, the road, I Am Legend style, Fallout tone, getting to and through Louisville with all these different landmarks and POIs and various spots from the game, and then finally getting to the end where you know these survivors are, where you know this rescue operation is. You've been hearing about it on the radio and on the TV and on flyers, and you get there and it's nothing. It's a mob. It is an endless horde. And this is how you died. I think it could be really well done, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I crazy, or do you think this could work? Like and sub if you're into this sort of thing. I do Project Zomboid content almost every day, and I do dip my toes in a few other genres as well. I am playing Stray because I am a cat dad, and I dip my toes into a couple of different JRPGs as well. So yeah, come by, keep watching, appreciate it, take care. Real quick postscript addressing the thumbnail and the title. It was me. I made up the rumor. I want this to happen. It was me. Guilty as charged.